welcome to Drunk a Song of Ice and Fire. What You Thinking About, Volume 3. Host, I am so excited to be here this evening with one of my really good friends, John. Say hello and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, Bout John on Twitter. You can find me. How you doing? I've had a couple of drinks, so I'm ready for the show. Let's do this.
That is what we strive for at Drunk ASOIAF. I figure if you're good at something, why not do it drunk, right?
Yes.
And that's talk about a song. Shit, what are you drinking, man? Looks like a Dornish Red. What's going on there?
I have a fruity red sangria from a box. I have to believe that there's plastic inside the box. It's a Franzia, which I think is the region between France and Zia. So probably a 2016 vintage. That was a pretty good year. So skull. What do you got?
Were you pandering before you got on? Were you like, what would Chloe like the most? She will like a box of wine.
They gave me a couple of bucks to bring it on here. I don't think it skunks, so I put it in the fridge for a little bit, and I got a festive Christmas cup. We can say Christmas now, so it's not a holiday. It's a Christmas thing, so I'll keep it real, and we'll just see how it goes.
What
are you drinking? A boot or a shoe?
Okay.
What do you have?
This is a very complicated drink. First off, it is a red Moscato blended overnight just to completely oxidize.
So it tastes like the cork.
Anyways, yes, and that's why it's blended with the red Moscato. What I'm saying is I'm embracing my inner Cersei, even though I have these maester chains. I don't know.
Right, and you got a hot brother, probably.
I'd probably bang him. I don't know. Actually, no, I'm an only child, but you know who wasn't an only child? Any of Craster's kids.
Hey, before we get underway on a show part here, if you could only bang Jamie with Prince Charming haircut, or him with the Russell Crowe Gladiator, which one?
Definitely the Russell Crowe Gladiator. And I don't know if maybe it's because I'm also implanting book canon on show, because technically that haircut means that Jamie's a changed man. In the show it didn't, but technically it was supposed to. Well, I don't know, something about that rugged short haircut and the golden fist.
I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not. He's gorgeous.
He's gorgeous. He's gorgeous. Gorgeous either way. Golden, gorgeous lion twin. But that short hair.
I wouldn't dig him with the long hair. I don't. That's no. No, he looks like a man bander. But
too pretty.
Anyway, it's just me, stingy. So.
I mean, as much as there's something to grab onto, it's also it's too pretty. That's not Kingslayer, it's like Kingslayer. I don't.
Right. Nation never goes away. Charles Manson still got letters right up to the end.
So. If he's prettier than I am, I don't.
Yeah. Well, see how it goes.
I'd swipe right.
So what do we got in store? I'm sorry.
You wanted to talk about, I know, Craster's backstory we were chatting about, and I want to hear you give it. I am ready for that.
Okay. I got some thoughts on that. All right. So this is what we're led to believe. Okay. Is that Craster's got this is how you find him. We'll start with the now. Is that he's got a pile of daughters. You know, you got the Gilly variety or whatever, and I'm sure he's got the whatever age group. He's in his 50s, we'll say. Is that about right? I don't know if I don't remember an approximation. Right. And so he's got his pick of the litter, and the origin story that's suspected, I guess, is that he's the bastard of a deserter, right, and a wildling woman. Correct. And that's really all you know of him to that point. He's not a deserter himself, right?
He's just the bastard of a gentleman of the Night's Watch, and I want to say, his mom was a wildling woman from White Tree. I think I want to say White Tree, and his dad abandoned his mom. He wasn't. He abandoned the mom, and when she tried to bring him to Castle Black, he was chased off. They were chased off by members of the Watch, I want to say.
So, how was that deal? Now, you know what the deal is now, or at least we suspect, is that he keeps the daughters. We're not going to put in have any textual evidence of what the show puts in. So we're not going to consider that. We just know that he sets them out, right? And as far as we know, it's a bait pile. As far as we know.
And to be fair, I mean, it's heavily implied in the text.
Yeah.
It's very heavily implied.
But what we actually know, that's that's the transaction. Okay. How did he swing that deal? Because that's not something he was born into. Okay, where did he have that Robert Johnson and the Devil Crossroads meeting where it was like, here comes another, and he happens to have a baby boy, and he's like, take this, don't kill me. And the guy's like, that's a pretty good deal. We can work something out. There had to have been that first instance where it was a matter of him or me. He had to have some sort of first contact where that was an agreeable transaction. He had to have picked that up.
I do see. I like where you're going with this. I do have one input thought. I do wonder if it was kind of like a Bug's Life scenario. I know we're not supposed to talk about Kevin Spacey anymore. But like maybe it was like in Bug's Life when Hopper shows like, give me your baby, and they're like, no, you can't have the baby, and then like the White Walkers take the I don't know. I'm just wondering if maybe like it was a learn by force.
Well, yeah, that could very well be, but you don't see, for one, he's unique in the experience. You don't hear where zombie people are a dime a dozen. Craster's the only one that's slinging baby boys for protection, mob money.
And more interesting, I know there was that conversation he has with Mance in the books where he's like, if a godly man has no like reason to fear, you better get right with the gods. So if he worships as his god, basically, like that almost is kind of him saying like, they're my gods, this is my tribute to my gods.
Right. Yes. Oh no, without a doubt, he's actively practicing the religion of the great other. That's and they could very well be a thing. There's a lot that we're not exposed to. George has said that we're going to spend a lot of time north. Craster could be an example of the farthest south of that cult, where there's, you know, maybe farther north, that's something that everyone gets down in or with. And I mean, obviously they got to be coming from somewhere, right? You know, it's not.
Do we have anyone else in canon? Do we have anyone else right now that like worships the others, like that we've heard of? Or is Craster's basically the only person that's really?
Boy, I'm gonna get ratioed like a MF, but I honestly think that Mel is mistakenly the great other.
Worshipping it? Yeah, I could see that.
I think that she's got. I think that she thinks that she's serving the Red God, and it's not. You know, the fact that what is, you know, being born from the shadow, and the Stannis's sword being, you know, not exuding the heat, that, you know, not having the true
qualities.
Yeah, being more of flame and not of light. You know, it's not. You know, it's, you know, like kind of like a guy says when, you know, he's like, "Can I borrow a light?" And it's like, you want to, you know, it's, you need a flame, and it's light that you seek. You know, it's
Oh,
the quality is little, you know what I mean? And so it's
a different, yeah, it's
she's got it conflated, but that's a different subject. But that's really the only, you know, I guess it really depends on what you think that Euron's up to as well. You know, if he's a servant of the great other.
Well, and then it makes you think, along with those two ideas, like with Mel and with Euron, if Melisandre is doing all these things, and as George has kind of railed home, you know, Melisandre gets visions and she interprets them incorrectly sometimes. It's not about the vision or the prophecy, it's about how it's interpreted. And any human is air, I mean, or any whatever year old is air. So what if a kind of an idea is like, what if she's getting these visions from the great other, like you were kind of saying, and what if it's kind of to lead, like, as we kind of are figuring, you know, I mean, not to take broad strokes from the show, but we know already Jon has a hero arc. He is going to be a hero. So what if it's something to lead him to the great other? You know, what if it's supposed to be leading to this final battle? And I mean, that gets you into this whole discussion of fate versus will versus whatever, and changing the future, and then Bran, timey-wimey, whatever. But it would be interesting if, you know, Euron interprets these visions and is joining the dark side, and Mel is getting these visions and accidentally.
Yeah. Well, in a parallel strain, what if she's supposed to be like destroying? Okay, who's like top of mind? Well, I'll be the first one to bring him up. Stannis Baratheon's the most capable military person in Westeros.
Absolutely.
That's not an argument. You know, what if it's part of the mandate to like wreck him? You know, and just what's the word? Disable that military prowess, and
make the path, clear the snow, like, so to say.
Yeah, you know, it's like, here you have the Blackwater. Should have been a disaster for anyone else that would have. Nope. You know, totally outnumbered at the wall went Stannis. You know, granted, there's parallels, or, you know, as far as heavy horse and, you know, the better armor and all that other stuff. But then you got Snowed in at the Winterfell, and it looks like that probably will go his way. You know, and it's like all these other things, and then again, then it leads to your point. Here we have Jon, who's actually the thing that she should have been looking for, you know, and, you know, she's been focusing on Stannis this whole time, and it's really Jon that she should have been.
And so there's even further like vision ideas. I mean, that's just like, I don't I guess I don't think about it enough on some of the things, because, you know, everybody, when you think about a song of ice and fire, you have your certain things that you process and you think about. And I never really thought about, you know, what if it's all leading to that, you know, slightly being ushered forward. And where, I mean, these people with the gift to see these things, I mean, you think of Daenerys with her dreams of Ice Dong, and like John with some of his wolf dreams and some of the kind of things he sees, and you see all this magic. And I mean, really, what it boils down to, the fantasy elements of A Song of Ice and Fire are so strong when it really gets down to it, because we're sitting here thinking about, wait a second, this vision and this vision, where do they come from? Who is telling them in their head these things?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it was, I think it was a lot more heavy-handed. I don't know if heavy-handed is a word. Less subtle. The Quaith, the one that would come to Dany in her dreams, that she met at Karth, with the mask, and the
forward you must go back.
Yeah, and she appears to him in her cabin and all that kind of stuff, and it was like,
she's so retconned. Let's get real for a second. You know, she's retconned.
Why what's in it for her? You know what I mean? What's
the end game for the Shadowbinders? Like, what is
right in an area, because that's not exactly in their zip code. You know, I mean, that's not unless we're getting into an area where George never really thought out himself that this was going to be something that he necessarily had to end. And
it's interesting because, like, anything that's kind of Asshai themed, I feel like George doesn't really. I think he doesn't know where it's going. He doesn't know what to do with the Asshai stuff. I think without the whole 5-year gap, I think George is kind of retconning a lot of things like that. I don't know if Asshai is really going to fit. So a lot of the Shadowbinder agenda and, you know, grand Shadowbinder conspiracy theories, I don't really think that we're going to see as much of a resolve.
No.
As much as it may get changed into something else.
No. I think it's a shame that, for what you could legitimately say, that she has to get, this being Dany, her unresolved issues with the cities left in Essos, and then still make it back by the end of the Winds of Winter. It's like, well, she
has to land by the Winds of Winter. There's no
right, and so but you know, the whole thing about Karth being the most magnificent city in a real practical sense, she kind of needs to lay them to waste, and Pentos really kind of needs to burn, and Volantis really needs to fall, and you know, and it's like, you add all these things up, and it's like, you spend.
That's her whole book. That's all 4 or 5 chapters. That's it.
Yeah, that's really, you're going to cover all that, and we hung out all that time in Marine, you know, hanging out.
And you're also thinking about, like, she still has to do her Vace Dothrak. Is that 2 chapters, her Vace Dothrak stuff? And then there's 5 chapters of her laying waste to places, and then she lands in Westeros at the very end?
Yeah.
It's almost 100% certain she has to land in Westeros in her last The Winds of Winter chapter. There is no, like, other, like, that is the end of The Winds of Winter. That is Daenerys coming home to Westeros. That is what all these books have, like, ultimately been leading up to. Is us sitting here, like, you can hate Daenerys, you can dislike her, whatever. You can say she's boring. She does bore me. In a lot of her Daenerys chapters, I don't love them. It's just, it doesn't. Some of them are really, really, like, good and connecting, but some of them you're just sitting there and you're like, I don't care about his I don't care about the Green Grace. He didn't develop it enough for me to really care about it. Just for her to leave. So, like, the big thing there is, like, it doesn't matter if you don't like her, but from the very first book, it's just like with the Starks. You're introduced to this character, this young girl who's being abused by her brother, who has lived her life on the run. Her family used to be royal, but she's, you know, she has none of the bad qualities of her family that you can see yet. And she's just this young girl, and she's sold off to a horse lord, you know, like, you start to empathize with their situation and sympathize for her, and you go, rooting for you, dragon girl. Like, you're hatching dragon babies on your shoulder. Good job.
Yeah.
Like,
clever thing.
Like, that's. Yeah, it's a cool thing. And so it's hard not to root for her. But like by the end of The Wind's a Winner, to land home. That's what we've been waiting for since the beginning of the books. It's like the Starks get killed off and their family gets all these wrongs done against them, and you know they're the good guys, quote unquote. You know, like, yeah, they have some issues, but everyone in the story does, and they're the good guys. And by, you know, The Wind's Winner, you're like, okay, Starks, like, let's get it together. Let's kind of like come back. Let's make a comeback. This is your year. These characters have been beaten, and it's like, this is your year, guys. Like, you have to at least do this.
Well, the thing that he does well as far as hiding until you get, you know, finish the where we're at now is you doubt whether you begin to doubt anyway whether or not, you know, I remember reading it and like, is this really a series about the Starks? Like, did he just put Starks in it and this is really about the three Lannister dicks? You know what I mean? And this, he couched it. These were not so much red herring, but this was how he rounded the story out. Or,
well,
you know,
and that's kind of what the coolest difference, like in general, between show and books is when you read the books, there isn't one protagonist. Like, it's not one hero. It's all of these coming together to kind of get you to that climax of the story. You know, you're reading through the Stark's eyes, you're reading through Daenerys' eyes, you're reading through her council, you're reading through all these different people and seeing what's going on around them. Obviously not protagonists. Like, obviously, no, Cersei, not a good guy. You know, not...
No. Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. You know who the villains are, but the protagonists, there isn't one protagonist. This is a story that relies on all of these plots to come together at the end, for all of George's gardening to somehow just weave itself together to where it all works and makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. And it could very well, I mean, there's people that you can exclude as far as whose story is it ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't think that ultimately, use that word twice in a row, dick. Davos, for example, is a better thing than any of the protagonists that you could make an argument that the story is about, or could potentially like save the world or whatever whatever the fuck you want to say at the end. You know what I mean? The moral bearing and the kind of the cut and measure of the person. I'll take one Davos over 100 Dannys, over 100 Johns, over 100 Tyrions. You know what I mean? And you could say the same, even though that she's a sleepy-eyed cow and I couldn't stand to be in the same room with her. You could say the same thing about Brienne. You know, it's like, really, she's ultimately a better person. You know what I mean? And you could justifiably say that it's like, and I think it's a good lesson. It's the tribute. It's that he has, that Gurm has, GURM, trademark John Conrad.
Sure.
The for his appreciation for Tolkien, Hobbit, than fucking Frodo. So it works the same way with Brienne's a better person than just about anybody in this story. You know what I mean? She's not going to double deal or do anything wrong. There's not going to be, well, yeah, she went off the handle and burned these people or ate this baby or, you know, she got mad and raped someone. No, she's not doing any of that. You know what I mean? Ultimately, she might not win the story, but
that's a total other thematic thing. I mean, that the true knights don't win.
Yeah, right. The human heart in conflict with itself. She has one of the few hearts that's worthy fighting over. You know, and that's where the story comes from. That's that's what's worth fighting over in the first place. And the rest of it, it's like, you people deserve all this.
Well, and that's why, like, the Jaime, Brienne, Cersei like text is so interesting, just the difference between the relationships, just what you said. Brienne is someone that's like worth, that's the person that's worth, like fighting over and worth all the good things, where then you have people that are in love with such like a vile, rotten apple person, like Cersei Lannister, who's just the most vile cunt in the whole Seven Kingdoms. Like, there's no other term. She's evil. She's an evil, 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 evil queen. She's bad. She's bad and bad, bad, bad. And she's bad. She does those mean things. She's not a nice lady. She's a very bitter, gross, wormy, like the rottenest apple with 10 worms just coming out of it. That's her, man. That is her. She's bad. And Jaime, like, his transformation from him meeting Brienne and Brienne, like, treating him like a human, even though, like obviously, Jaime's not the best person either. And Brienne, like, kind of implanting herself as, like, saying, hey, like, I'm going to do things honorable, Kingslayer, but I'm learning to come to terms with him. And that's where that kind of side of the fandom is so interesting, because, like you said, it's that's right and wrong and morality. It's such a big, like, thematic thing in the story of, like, there's not just black and white, but there's perspective that's brought in to make you see.
Right. But
the shades of gray.
I think it's a failing of George's that you have a character, and I think Jaime's a fascinating character. There's not an equally morally ambiguous female character. You have either complicated characters in, like, how Sansa is, where the development of agency from having none through all the abuse and bullshit that she's got to go through, and then developing she becomes, right? That's different. Then you have Jaime, who you meet basically at his lowest point, as far as I'm concerned, and then working. Well, no, his lowest point really might be when he's on his way out the bear pit, and then comes back to save. Somewhere in there, he's really not any better one point or the other. But you know what I'm saying? The beginning of his climb is at that point. There's not a female character that exhibits that same sort of, like, where you're going to have that ground. You know what I mean? Where you can go back and forth and say, it's you either have it's either one end of the spectrum or the other. And
I could really argue Catelyn would be the only closest thing, but still nothing near that. I mean, Catelyn, so Jaime finds himself landed in all these problems that, not true for the most part. I mean, so Catelyn and Jaime both suffered because of Southern ambitions. Their characters completely suffered. Now, Jaime was fucked from the get-go, obviously. Sister his whole life, like, he has that, and he has this whole horrible Tywin overlording dad thing. And I mean, but Southern ambitions did fuck him. Like, they fucked him, they fucked Catelyn. So, but where we, like, meet them in the story, where we start off with them, like, Jaime, like, Cat just is kind of pissed because her husband had an affair and had a baby with another lady. Like, yeah, okay, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Still.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
And you see her suffer in her grief. You see her suffer in her grief, but you see Jaime just kind of be a prick his whole life. Like, it's kind of different.
Yeah, there's a lot different. I mean, there's being a bad stepmom and pushing Bran out of a window is,
Yeah.
And I totally get it. Bran would have snitched. I mean, I would have pushed him too. It's like, I totally.
He does look like a little snitch, especially the show of those bangs. He's got these bangs. He's got these little snitch bangs. Oh shit, am I a snitch?
Yeah. It was him and Rickon for sure. If it would have been Rickon, you follow him down. The youngest's always snitch. Always.
And you know what? Show Rickon had them bangs too. Bangs are for snitches.
Yeah, they really are. See, because they don't understand the code. youngest, the older ones, because the parents are all fired up for being a parent, they're overprotective. Shit goes down. So what happens? They come out, everybody gets beat. But when the younger ones, they go through it or whatever, then it's like they can snitch and they don't get any of the repercussions. Everybody gets in trouble except for them. So they just don't understand the whole snitch code. That's
like
why
it's not worth
really,
as much merit as they think it is, you know, but they're young, so they don't realize it. That's like my dad was like the second youngest boy out of 9 kids. And all the stories that he tells me are like him getting his ass beat for his siblings' things that they did. You know what I mean? Like them blaming on him. So like I get it. I'm not, you know, I'm an only child. Thank God, no secession problems here.
yeah.
But
Right. Right. Yeah.
kill my siblings in cold blood. I am a legitimized bastard of the North. Tell you. The heir to my house.
We're getting a drink here.
Oh, do you guys hear that tinkling noise? That is the sound of Franzia Fruity Red Sangria. They don't sponsor me, but they should. I've had a lot of Franzia in my life. Franzia, fun fact, while John fills his drink, just going to rattle these off. Franzia is one of those wines that was on that one meme that went around like a year ago that like contains rat poison in a small concentration. So now I only buy Vella. So Vella, if you're listening, I just gave you a great non-rat poison plug. Please sponsor Drunk a Song of Ice and Fire. Thanks.
Actually, I was peeing in a barefoot bottle. They're gonna chill it and then sell it as a Riesling.
Oh, I mean it's about the same.
Enjoy. Yeah, it really is. It's either that or a peace pour.
John's mad. John isn't happy because I bought real wine for tonight. I never buy real wine, you guys. I never buy real wine, but tonight I was feeling fancy. I was like, my friend John, we're going to be recording some stuff, and I'm going to drink almost good wine, you know, but nope, he had to get the box.
Bullshit, because see, I live vicariously through my heroes, and I heard that fucking Brendan B. Fish drank box wine at the Ice and Fire Con from the previous, and so I'm like, well, I heard that I can, you know, live the same kind of life, my best life, and so I will also buy box wine on a podcast and drink it, and then I come on here and this trollop, this Harridan, has got drinking out of a glass bottle, not even plastic. You think you know somebody. It's terrible.
You want the real skinny on that story. First off, let me just cradle my wine like a baby. First off, let me just tell you that Brendan B. Fish, yes, you guys, the Brendan B. Fish, and FireCon, discussing where characters fall on an XY axis of kink. Long story. I'll share the meme this week. There's a meme. There's always a meme. So check out the Drunk ASOIAF Twitter if you're not following it already, which you should be. I think we're going to have some new polls coming up. We haven't done polls in a while, and polls are fun. But Brendan B. Fish was in my room discussing with some friends. You'll meet them this year at Ice and Fire Con, John, when you come. They're called the Boltons. They're great. They love the Boltons. They are like the 2 biggest Bolton fans in the entire universe. They're wonderful. They're the most wonderful people. That they and Brendan B. Fish were just discussing kinks on the couches in our room at Ice and Fire Con. And I offered Brendan B. Fish some boxed wine. I had a and I want to say delicious red. I don't think it was a fruity red. I think it was delicious red. I think I had a dry red, and I had the Moscato Sangria. And I don't remember if he drank, which one he drank. It might have been the red. I offered him box wine, and he said yes. And then he hung out and talked about kinks. That was the night where I was like, man.
What did he drink it out of? A shoe? What did he drink it out of?
Oh no, it was a plastic cup, like a short, this big plastic cup, see-through. or not, no, not see-through, sorry, translucent. And then the next day, that was Thursday, sorry, Saturday night of the convention, he allowed me to choose his profile name, his display name on Twitter for the night, and it was Big Booty Fish for about 12 hours. So
not bad.
Yeah, that's me and Jeff's friendship. We're pretty close.
It sounds like
yep.
Sounds like you guys are tight.
Big Booty Fish. No, he's a great dude. He was just on a Game of Owns on Monday. I know you've seen it. If you haven't ever seen Game of Owns, please check it out. Zach and Hannah are hysterical and really, really fun. They're really fun. They're going through Feast Dance right now. So everyone's favorite. I love Feast Dance. I love me some Feast and Dance. So Jeff was just on.
This commercial.
And he did some really stuff. Good. They're a good podcast. I like Game of Owns is really good. I love Game of Owns. There's a lot of good podcasters in the community right now.
If we're going to do commercials right now, then ASIOF read through. I'm going to shout out to my boy. He's doing Feast for Crows. That's probably the best book. I didn't care for it the first time through. I honestly didn't. I thought it was a little slow, moribund. I still wouldn't hang out with Brienne, but that's a tremendous book. It really gives you there's so many feels. It just started. It's still on the Prophet. Give it a shot.
No, right? They're still on the Prophet. Yeah, ASOIAF read through. Actually, today's the 8th. We're recording on the 8th, so this is totally the same day, but 8th of December. And I do want to shout out that today, December 8th, is ASOIAF read through's birthday. Happy birthday to her. And she is doing Feast for Crows right now on Twitter. If you follow A Song of Ice and Fire read through, get on it. It's ASOIAFHRU. I might have that wrong, but if you can't find it, right now, Poor Quentin on Twitter is quote retweeting all of the Prophet, and that will be your whole feed if you follow them. So you can find it through Poor Quentin or straight if you find ASOIAF read through. I've had to mute my whole timeline, but hey, Captain the Guards is next, and I am so excited. I'm gonna tweet the shit out of that.
And there's
love it.
So much butt sex in that first chapter.
Dude, the Prophet, like, reading it line by line, that's what's so cool about ASOIAF read through is, like, when you read that crap line by line, you're like, oh, that's it. You get so many little details that you just pull out, and you're like, I didn't remember that when I read Feast for Crows.
No, I'm like, this fucking guy. When I first, I'll tell you this, while we're doing the What's on Your Mind, motherfucker.
That's what this is
What's on my mind. I didn't understand. I didn't understand why the Greyjoys were in this series. Honestly, because they're not Nordic, right? They're not Vikings really, and it seems like they were like a culture apart, you know. And I know they're supposed to be, but it's not like they're that far. It's like they live over there, so it's not like they're that far away, and they didn't seem to like jive with the rest of the story. You know what I mean? It's like he tried to like, I'm getting one additional type of people in here, you know, like where he could have written a story about the Ironborn independently of that he wrote.
He could have done a novella. He could have done anything.
Yeah, anything, you know. And like, I'd have read it, you know, but I'm like, what are these jackwagons doing with the rest of basically this, this chivalry-based society, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't ever I love Asha Greyjoy.
How they work now, you know, it makes a little more sense. It's just like at the time, as it's rolled out to you, it's like, I found it fascinating at one point. I had money in hand. I was ready to get a Kraken tattoo. I'm like, let's do this shit. Let's fucking You know, that it's, it's, whether it's the Leviathan, a dragon, whatever it is, it's the long term, it's the symbol of chaos. Every society has that symbol, you know, it's the unknown, and it speaks on a very cellular level to everyone. You know exactly, you don't even have to build the myth. You sense it, But
Well, the really cool thing there too
what the fuck are
is
they doing?
it's George's planting too. You know what I mean? Like George plants that shit. So like the first 3 books, all we get is Theon Greyjoy. You know what I mean? Like, and Theon, as far as Ironborn go, that's a disappointment. He's not an Ironborn. He's a Stark. We all know Theon. I mean, he was raised by Ned. Every single line of his is like, what would Ned do? What would Ned have done? If Ned was here, he wouldn't have liked that I did that. Like, Daddy Ned, Theon with his like faux Stark daddy issues. So like we don't get a real view literally until Feast, and then we get it all just brought on. We get to see all of it. You know what I mean? We get to see Aaron seeing everyone for what they are. We get to Asha. We get all this different stuff, and it's so interesting because George planted Theon, planted all this like little exposition about Ironborn this and that, and the Iron Price this, and then thinking about the Greyjoy Rebellion that, and it got like, I mean, you get all this exposition building up to it, and it's just such a subtle, really nice plant of how
it was the binding experience for a lot of those guys too, where it's where Jorah Mormont made his bones. It's where it's that for the guys that didn't make it, that didn't prove themselves, because a lot of those guys either died or were too young. And with Robert's rebellion, the Greyjoy Rebellion was their chance to shine and prove themselves. Thoros Amir, it was how they built their reputation on exactly that thing,
Well, and that was the thing, especially you look at that age range. Like, if you weren't a big knight or somebody that was, assigned to an army during Robert's Rebellion, that 15 years there before, then the 9-year mark, the Greyjoy Rebellion was like, that was the next part. So, like, I mean, all these young men, like you said, Thoros, like all these people that hadn't had their chance to shine or chance to battle or a chance to make a name for themselves, the Greyjoy Rebellion was George R. R. Martin's last stand for those characters to make a name for themselves before the main canon starts.
Right. Yep.
What else are we gonna? Oh my god! So you never finished your Craster backstory. Did you have anywhere you were going with that?
No, I mean, wait one second.
No, you're good. It launched us into some really good conversation, though. I honestly I don't really think a lot. There are other people that think smarter things about me when it comes to like the great others and all this. I focus a lot more on a lot of character motivations and like different things, but thoughts. But when you were talking about the Mel or about Craster in general, and then I was talking about Mel, that really got me thinking about like, what if this is all leading to like a mini trap, but then engaging them all into the war? Like, what if? And then it's so meta when you think about it, because it's like, yeah, Melisandre, a dumb bitch, whatever, we get it. She doesn't interpret stuff right. And even if it is a message from the Great Other, all this stuff that's happening, like, what if at the same time, like, what if these visions that she's interpreting are leading them to the battleground come, I mean, and then it goes into what if this was always supposed to happen? She was always going to interpret those visions that way.
No, and well, as we were talking about it, was like, oh shit, But no, but the thing with Craster is like, what if there's a lot that we take on faith as far as what all that means to the story going forward, or what he's even doing. It's like, well, it's heavily implied or we're to believe. And I think the very origin of how All right, put it this way. What's potentially more important? How Craster swung a deal with the others as far as staying safe in trade for human life against the others, and with what that arrangement versus Ned keeping secret John's parentage.
Oh, I love that. That was the spiciest bullshit you have ever laid out loud. That is so good. What is the difference? It's just like Tywin's what's killing a man at a wedding feast compared to men in war. In a way. In a different way, though. Completely different, but...
That's because those guys, they look what they do. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah, he's sacrificing these babies, but it's keeping the peace-ish. It's kind of, he's amassing his army slowly.
You see what kind of work that the bad guys do. You know what I mean?
Like, how many babies do you think they pop out annually there? How many sons? Give me an estimate. What do you think? Like 5 sons?
I say no less than 10.
10 a year, 10 annual. They're getting a 10 lives. That's like you go to a farm, pretend you're the Night King. Hey,
I thought it was like 35 women. Wasn't that?
19 daughters was the first that we... 19 daughters. So, okay. 19 daughter wives that he mates with.
No, you're probably right. I'm going to say 7. Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. You're right. I'm gonna compromise too and say 7. I'd say you're at an average of 7 a year, which is like you're the Night King. Okay, show, book, whatever we want to fucking call it. Who knows? You're the Night King. And you're like, I want my livestock. I have an order for 7 a year. You know, like does he have? What's the agreement? Like, does this how much peace is granted per kid?
Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah.
I want some specifics about the baby trade because I might get into it before the tubes are dry.
How is that worth the other's time? You know what I mean? Where it's like, you know what? We're just going to fucking kill it. Like how you would think that they would be looking to cut that deal with just about every male that they came across. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, they'd like, hey, hold up. Listen, man, we won't cut you down here. Fuck some bitches. You give us the boys. Oh okay. Yes. Oh, I didn't do that. You know, just the guys. Yeah. Just 50%.
Hold on. This is some Roy Moore shit. Like this is like God told me to do it.
Guy's doing the math in his head. Yeah, I suppose I can do that. All right, good deal.
I suppose I could fuck all 19 of these girls consistently and get them as pregnant as shit. God, Craster was such a pile of fuck. Dude, what a fucker.
Right, but you see, all the other, this is the thing, okay? In all the other evil institutions in Westeros, or in Planetos, okay? You got, like, regardless what it is, especially Essos, just because the traditions are older. Slavery, the shit from all the slaver cities, all that kind of stuff. It's steeped from time beyond reckoning, right? Craster wasn't born of that. This is like generation shit. He himself had to negotiate one way or the other, whether explicitly or implicitly, this deal. This wasn't something that was like this is all they knew. They were born into it, and this is just how he functions, and it's thoughtless society. Like, why do you guys do this? Like, oh, I don't know. We just, you know.
No, there was definitely a reason why he did it. I mean, this was not something he was born into that we know of from what we're told. No, I mean, just the mom and him had to flee from Castle Black, and you know, I mean, this isn't something he was born into, though it's like something that I wonder if the backstory really is written between these pages for us. I mean, like, just like Sandor Clegane, like that backstory is written between those pages. You know, daughter died, the dad died, the mom died. Most died under queer circumstances. Sandor's fucked up in the head, not just because of getting his face burnt off. Like, wonder what happened there. Like, you can put the pieces together. Craster, like, it's like his backstory that maybe there's more there than we're being told.
Right. And because it ends relatively early, you know, and we don't go back, and there's the fact that that type of story we're not exposed to. We're like, what the fuck? This guy's fucking all his daughters. There's so much more to be shocked with what goes on.
And George pulls that hood over our head. You know what I mean? Like, he likes to do that. He likes to do that and go, like, so gotcha. Much. You guys don't see what's going on, but there's so much to grasp within these lines.
Right. That's a point of contact with what's going on. Is him? I mean, he's an agent in that sense, if that's what's going on. And we're not talking about that. It was like,
hear that? The dog agrees. The dog is like, get it. The dog's like, fuck Craster. Good at this.
Fabulous.
Now you're never gonna have normal like life. You're gonna like every time you hear this dog, you're just gonna be like, dude, get over it. We talked about Craster for like 30 minutes. I get it, dude. You're just gonna talk to the dog about Craster all the time.
That's fabulous.
Anyways, you were saying, sorry, I ruined everything. Nothing new.
No. It's and we don't go back to it. That's the rat. You know, that's it. We just
feeding us that little bit, you know, that little bit of lore, that little bit of, hey, there might be sacrifice to the others. Hey, people might see the others as a god.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that they do, and I don't blame I wouldn't blame them, not even a little bit.
Well, and so to even take that another level, like, think about it. If there's other people, especially wildlings possibly, that see God and give sacrifice to that god, I mean, especially on such a small bubble, everyone north of the wall is in such a bubble of their own kind, because everyone is, Westeros is its own bubble, you know, but north of the wall, that's such a different world. We see it from Egret. We see what like a different, when you get Jon there in the wildling camp and you're like, oh my God, like this is like, these people are so different. And so it's almost like you see this bubble that they're in and you wonder, like, one power above you, as we know, when you have a power that's immediate to you and affects you, whether it be government or whatever, you know, whether they have money or power over you, you know, that's what you report to. People don't look bigger than that picture. So Craster never looked bigger than that picture. You know, he said, this was the power that I have that's over me. This is what I need to.
Yeah. The Calvinist.
Speak to. Absolutely. You knew where I was going. Good.
Yep.
Them snitch things.
Well, you know. Yeah. And it's all it takes is you to worship them. I mean, that's something I noticed in that first on the prophet read through was ungodly man can sit the sea stone chair, right? Well,
this man can sit the sea stone chair.
Right. What's a godless man? You know, I don't think
gods are.
Yeah,
I'm a dozen these days in Westeros, dude. Higher power is a dime a dozen.
Doesn't have to be your guy. It's to steal from somebody else. There was the inestimable Homer Simpson said that what if you're praying to God and you're praying to the wrong God and he's just getting madder and madder? it's kind of the same principle. It's be that's somebody else's sea stone chair. You know, it's Euron's just somebody else's god. He's not the that chapter. You know, to a second, it's called the prophet for a reason. You look at that chapter and how often he's right. He just doesn't know why. It's insane, you know, and I think tie that back into the worshiping the great other. Just because that's not your god, that doesn't make him not a god. At least not in the Planetos sense. You know, there could very
And
well
there's
be.
the other sense that, like, if you put, not to like go weird metaphysical on it, but if you put energy into something, so if someone worships God, and if several people worship said God, it becomes a God. You know, I mean, it doesn't even have to be the God. It can be just the fact that all these people are worshiping it. Like red, or could be red, blue might not be a thing. You know, like maybe it's not. Maybe it's just all these people put all the stock in it, and they do all these magician tricks, and whatever the power is that may be, the powers that may be in Westeros or in Planetos, that's what's answering. You know, like we might not even ever know.
Well, it's the Varys theory. You know, it's the where who possesses the power. You know, where you ascribe it to. You know, and
then it's like just like the power is power. You know, power is where men think it resides. You know.
Yeah. I do think that Gurm is gaming the system. Just because I don't see him. I think that he's, whether or not it's some different power, I think that whether it's R'hllor or I think he prescribes the old god certain power, the red god certain power. I don't think that I don't see any power really manifest in the seven.
I think the seven is the biggest bullshit, like Catholicism. Like, okay, so I was raised Catholic. So let me just back that up. I was raised Catholic. I went through confirmation. I went through catechism. I did all that bullshit. You know, I'm from a white family. Mom's like Italian. My dad's like Germany,
Right.
Irishy, whitish, whatever. And my bio dad's like Scottish. I don't know. I went through catechism, dude. So I was like Catholic growing up. And I think that like the faith of the seven, especially with the High Sparrow and what we learn of the High Sparrow and Cersei chapters, I think the faith of the seven really represents that kind of cult-like mentality. I do want to say it. I'm not going to say it. I did say it. You heard me say it. Everyone just heard me say it. But what I'm saying is I don't want to say a cult-like mentality. I want to say, you know, I mean, like you get like there's all these statues and there's all these days and holidays, and you light a candle to this one and that one and the other.
More the aspect of it than the Jim Jones part of it.
Yeah, it's the aesthetic. Like, oh, you're praying and you're doing this and you're singing the songs and you're singing the hymns to the mother and the maiden and all that. Like that's exactly the similar kind of like Christianity umbrella, like whatever mass you go to. Like that's, you know, you show up and you sing these songs to this thing and that saint and this thing and about this thing. The seven really kind of involves that. And I think since the seven were obviously brought to Westeros, I feel like the people of Westeros, especially like since there's dragons around, they had to have something to cling to. Like, yeah, there's dragons and we cling to our religion, but like it's interesting the religious like reveal that there's all these different sections. There's Shadowbinders, there's Shy, they're casting spells, but then you read Melisandre's chapter and you know that half of these spells they're casting are just, you know, like George is really big at deconstructing tropes and deconstructing ideas and plots and just breaking them down and like breaking down things in front of you to say this is not what you think it is.
Part of that is you have someone like bring the room down for a minute. In the history of religion, it seems like those that experience true religious revelation have a genuine fear of that revelation. And you take someone like Thoros, who has none of the trappings of a religious man who wishes to. I mean, it's just a joke. All of it's a joke to him. And when he has his experience with bringing Barrick back to life, and he has no idea how any of that shit works, and yet it does.
That's a miracle. That is a miracle, what he experiences, and like you see that in his text. He's like, I didn't think it was real, dude. Like, I just got drunk. And originally I stabbed some bitches, and then I got bombed all the time. And I mean, Thoros is like so interesting to me because he's kind of like the war buddy that you look at Robert Baratheon and you look at him, and they were drinking buddies, man. And you see, like, he was a sot, like just a fat fool that like was like, I killed some people and I was a badass in the Greyjoy Rebellion, and I'm living under the king's, whatever, saying I'm a red wizardy mage dude that worships for Lord. And then you get him at the beginning and you see that, and like Sansa, you get Sansa's point of view, which is interesting because I know nobody suspects the butterfly and poor Quentin. They both did this really cool panel at Ice and FireCon last year that was like the reader as the camera. And basically they did a lot of breakdowns of different traveling camera point of views, like Sansa and Quentin, and like all these different characters that let you see like different things from their point of view. And Sansa's point of view, there's so much to be seen. Like, she doesn't even know she's saying it, but you read some of the things she says about the people around her, and you're like, Thoros, big fat priest who doesn't do shit and just gets drunk with Robert. And the change from that book to when you meet him again in Storm, when you meet him again, you're just like, whoa, what just occurred here? Like, that's not, you get the speeches between them, you get the hollowed out, like, the gaunter look, the I brought this motherfucker back to life thing. Like, you're like, that's not what we were told. Yeah. Interesting contrast to see where Robert stayed complacent and died, and Thoros found Jesus, read Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not even, he didn't even get orthodox then. He got right with his Lord, but it didn't possess the trappings that, well, it even seems like the Red God has a kind of a different plan. Doesn't it seem like their priests seem all right? Like, wouldn't you want to hang out with Makoro?
Oh, yeah, dude. Makoro? Oh, man. Hell yeah. Him, right. I mean, to be fair, like the one, okay, who's the one religious figure or whatever, or like some sort of figure that you would want to hang out with?
The one. Well, let me get some names right here. Just let's get some names out there, just so I'm not missing them. Was it Bonero and Volantis?
Bonero, right? Makoro, yeah. Okay. Does Marwyn count? Because like I just want to hang out with Marwyn. He's gonna be reddish.
We're gonna go no.
To be fair,
we're gonna go no. We're gonna say a cult, not religion.
Okay. Yeah, but like, can I hang out with Marwyn anyway? I really just want to do some bong rips with Marwyn.
Yeah, I give you permission to fuck them. You can't. They're not a religious figure.
Bullshit.
Yes, my rules, my game. Let's see. There's the High Sparrow.
What about High Sparrow? Yeah, dude, I wouldn't want to hang out with that motherfucker. He's a piece of shit.
What about any of them?
Honestly, no. I would rather go get drunk at the fucking at Castle Black and hang out with some of the fucking Dolores Ed. That's a religious figure. I want to hang out with Dolores Ed. He is my religious figure.
Well, I like, as far as even up to the end, I like Aaron's style, man. I do. I appreciate I like his style. The guy can command a room. He comes in and he's like, somebody says some shit to him and he's like, fuck that. I want this. And for the most part, they do it. and he has gravity, and not a lot of the Ironborn, for all their bluster, have actual gravity. Even Vic doesn't have gravity, and he's
yeah.
I'm I'm a Vic sympathizer.
Oh, of course you are. You love big dumb idiots. Cersei,
No,
did you see my wine shake at that? I was like, you love big dumb idiots. That was the most Cersei Lannister motherfucking shit.
Because I hate Dunk.
Oh, yeah, we did. So when you were talking about how you would never want to hang out with Brienne, I was like, yeah, you idiot, because she's related to Dunk, and they're both big, dumb, noble idiots. Like, that's all I could think about.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do with a good person. That's why we're friends.
Hey, listen, I feel like I keep a good moral compass in our friendship.
Yeah,
thank you.
Where's my one? Moral compass. It's funny. I heard about those.
Pointing south is what I'm saying.
Here, that's actually me peeing in a bottle.
No, stop. You're literally the worst. Just get your goddamn Vela. I actually finished my bottle. This is like it.
I haven't been called an uncle yet. This is bullshit.
We like to call you Nuncle John. That's the fandom name. If you're not on Twitter, if you're not following along on Twitter, there's a great fandom. I say great. I'm like, that's not the adjective I'm looking for.
Regrettable.
Regrettable at best. No, there is a fun fandom. There's a lot of us that hang the hell out on Twitter and just like bullshit. Really, you can always count on it. There's always someone ready to bullshit with you. So join up on Twitter, make a Twitter account, and just start tweeting at people, man. It's fun. We tweet about the biggest bullshit for sure.
Planet lasts anyway. Anyway,
dude, this one, I want to talk about. I'm ready to talk about some shit. I want to talk about.
We were gonna play Starklings That Lived, right?
Yeah, Starklings. So this one came from Katrina on Twitter. So down to this one. This one's good. What Starkling like advantageous political matches and marriages? What would if Ned had lived in Aegot? What would you do with the Starkling marriages? I have two already that I really want to talk about. So I don't know if you want to just hold back. I can give at least one. That's what I'm saying.
Get on there. I'll let you go with it. Do it. You're a
yeah, you can like make some some hand motions and drinking motions in the background. Like cheer me on. Like that's good. That's good, friend. Yeah. Good for okay. That's not. Put your hand down. So if Ned had lived and like what he should have done. Out real strong with his hot take that Ned know at Starfall. He should have left that motherfucker at Starfall. I know he was all PTSD. What if someone finds out about Jon? Lyanna told me to keep the promise. Keep Jon around. Keep him safe. Yada, yada. Keep that bitch at Starfall. People already think you fucked Ashara Dayne. Ashara Dayne's dead. Leave Jon with her family. Leave him there, let him grow up and learn with the Maester at Arms there and be a Dayne squire than soldier and let him grow up to live among his milk brother, Ned Dayne. Eventually, you can make a match for Arya, have her marry Ned. Great political advantageous match to connect Dorne to the Starks. Some good first men blood. Like, just leave Ned there. Or Jon there with Ned. You fucked up, Ned Stark. You should have left him there. Leave the fucking kid there. Let him grow up. Come get him eventually, like when you're ready for his fate.
You would leave him in the Tower of Joy. Don't even bullshit. You wouldn't get the Starfall.
Fuck like, Jon. Just leave him in tower. Leave the baby.
You would leave the baby to starve to death in a pile of corpses in a tower with no air conditioning.
Do you think that John, when he was born, he just like came out with a man bun and a sad look on his face?
Probably. This little stony Dornish turd.
Oh, whoa! How dare you? On my video? How dare you? Why would you say that? You just economy?
This is why I say this. Because I remember having this conversation. I'm getting this beef out right now. Okay.
Look.
As I'm bitter. Because we were talking. This is back when.
Are you bitter? Because RLJ? R+L?
No, you need to be quiet right now. Okay. I'm bitter. Okay. This is remember the High Heart chapter. All right. And so here's the Ghost of High Heart, and here comes little Ned Dane. Remember him? Recognize that name? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you have. And there's okay. And I'm like me, John Conrad, John at Twitter.
John.
I'm like, those two would be perfect together, right? I believe this, right? And you're like, yeah, yeah, Arya and whoever the Baratheon fucking turd is that's also palling around. You have nothing to do with the fact that how adorable Ned, and how perfect he would be for Ned's daughter. Bringing around full circle the fucking Dane Stark thing. No, you didn't want to have anything to do with it. No, you just whatever it is.
About this, are you just going to be really mad about it? I'm just saying it would be a great match. However,
what?
Give me a second. However,
what?
Arya has already made a connection in the books with Gendry, who is not a Baratheon. He's not legitimized. He is of Baratheon stock. She has made a connection with him, and they have a very familial and friendly connection. I did not say anything past that except for the fact that they are destined to either be. She's going to die. That's what I'm saying.
You tug your tag to a Baratheon. You marry a Dane. Okay? So, if it worked out, if the way it should work out, then those two should be together. Not Gendry. No,
I agree. But here's the deal: is it didn't work out that way. So we're doing a what if. So I'm allowed to have these opinions right now without your bullshit.
But it's just no.
Okay, so here's the difference. The main narrative of the story is not about having happiness.
So rarely do I get moon-eyed about two people like getting together, and then you were like, no.
You're saying that your like one true pairing is 12-year-old Ned Dane and 9-year-old Arya Stark?
Yes. That makes me happy.
That's your face is the purest smile I've ever seen on your face, by the way.
Yeah, actually. That's great. I'd be happy.
God, look at your face. Wow. Okay. Well, knocked off two of the Stark children with that.
That's a book I'd read.
Actually, honestly, John growing up in Starfall, that would be cool as shit.
Right. Yeah.
Him standing at the tower, standing at the Palestone Sword Tower, looking out, all bastardy, all sad, going, I wonder if this was where my mother stood before she threw herself off the tower, not knowing that his mother didn't throw herself out of a tower. She just threw herself into a bed to fuck Rhaegar.
Yeah. Well, you're aunt or sister or whatever is at a all-you-can-eat buffet and whatever the Blackwater Reach or whatever where are the Reeds living now?
They're in Greywater, but you never know what could happen.
Yeah, Greywater. Yuck.
The Panders for a second. 1, boxing wine. 2, Greywater watch. Keep a countdown, John.
Yeah, it's the Christmas cup. I'm
every one of us.
I'm overserved.
Dude, you know what I would love to see? Another good match. Rob?
Rob and Marjorie.
Think of the connotations with that. If Rob had married Marjorie.
All right. Now, on the one side, it's perfect. Okay. Really is. On the other side of it, Ned's not that smart.
No, he's totally not that smart.
I wish he was.
And he's so trauma riddled, he never would. This whole scenario is honestly kind of stupid. Like, I love it because I do like wonder what if Ned didn't die, what would have happened, or what Nash. Because if Ned wasn't so PTSD riddled and traumatized and stupid and didn't die,
yeah,
kids, like if he was just a normal dad.
Because he would have got done there what his father failed to do with all the dumb shit that he was setting out to do. Honestly.
And think about what a good generation it was for that. Like, obviously, Ned's generation wasn't the best generation for Southern Ambitions because everybody was really shitty and had bad parents. But, like, I mean, Ned and Kat loved as they could. You know what I mean? Like, they were good-ish parents. I mean, like, the Stark kids are a lot more well-rounded. Like, the only other kids that are probably better would be, like, the Trial kids. Like, all the other kids are pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Well, what the Southern Ambitions group, what were they looking to accomplish other than what could have been going on the whole time anyway, was basically bringing the Starks into it.
Well, and something you said to me that was really interesting was when we were talking about how there are other houses that didn't participate in Southern Ambitions. You look at the High Towers, you look at the Florence, you look at how they side married. They were like, okay, we're not going to dream so big. We're just going to go just a step below. You know, Marion, like Allery with the Tyrells, like they married Allery into the Tyrells. I mean, some families didn't dream too big and they're prospering really well right now. Doesn't mean they will be forever. Yep. For example, the Tyrells, yep, they're going to die. Is what it is. They're going to die. They're literally pretty much all going to die. Maybe Willis will survive, but they're going to die. Jot that down. All of them.
the club foot.
Just saying, like Marjorie, she's probably going to lose her pretty head, dude. When Aegon gets there, one way or another, once Aegon lands in King's Landing, like, they're dead. Whoever's left, they're dead.
Yeah, whether it gets blown up,
execution or blown up or whatever happens. I mean, I can't see, obviously, like this time around, I feel like too, something we're being told and like yelled at in our faces, like this time around, John Connington means business. Like he's gonna pretend the fuck out of Aegon being Rhaegar's son, whether or not he wants to admit it to himself. And he is going to front that kid. And he's going to get that kid in because he fucked up last time. And he's going to do it no matter what. So, like, they're going to do it right. Like, this is the one time, like, I feel like all these failed attempts at Robert, like, kill the Targaryens, kill all of them, you know, like, kill off the dragon spawn. There can't be any left. Like, Aegon's going to show up. They're going to kill off whoever's there with any claim to a throne is going to be dead.
But he's running out of chapters too, and that comes down to the problem that Gurm has painted himself into is like the little bit that you have into, because do you see Connington being alive at the end of the Winds of Winter?
No, Connington's gonna die. End of Winds of Winter. I think he's gonna like maybe on the way to them getting thrown. I don't know. By the end of the Winds of Winter, I'm gonna say Aegon's gonna be on the throne, land somewhere in Westeros. I guess I'm as soon as we get Captain of the Guards, I'm gonna tweet about it. ASOIAF read through. Excited about that. Like all week has been just like people retweeting the Prophet, and like I love the Greyjoy stuff, but I'm not very smart about it. Like that's for other people. Like I've said, I love it and I get it, but I'm just not gonna talk all about it to other people. But I'm like ready. I'm like, let's go. I'm gonna take every little sentence apart because it literally starts looking at the gardens, the water gardens that Daenerys built these water gardens. And I'm sorry, but my unpopular opinion is the last chapter of the Winds of Winter. Daenerys is gonna land in Dorne, and somehow, some way, they're not gonna support her, and she's gonna burn them all down. Those water gardens, all those kids are dead. Those dragons are gonna burn the fucking water gardens down. That Dorne is toast. Everyone in Dorne at that time, they're gone. Yeah, that's my like end of TWOW prediction for Daenerys. I think a lot of people don't buy that, but I'm like, she's gonna land there. She's gonna land in Dorne looking for support, and it's gonna be just like when she landed in Karth, a young girl with little broken dragons that couldn't do shit. I tried to fuck her over. She's gonna land in Dorne with fully grown dragons, and she's in her fire lust. She's already taken down, all these cities, and she's gonna land there. They're gonna deny her, and she's gonna go. Poof.
I can't argue with you that, but it's she's kind of like that scene in Caddyshack, man, where or not Caddyshack, Animal House, where Dean works, Eater Meyer, you know what I mean, where it's like Karth, Pentos, fucking, what were we just talking about?
Daenerys landing in Dorne, though, like that's next.
No, it is that it's every town. It's like you literally every projection is that. Well, it's like, well, she's gonna go there. Well, she's burning those fuckers, and it's like, well, she's gonna go here. Yeah,
dragons don't plant trees, dude. Dragons do not plant trees.
And so, do you ever wonder what kind of revelatory moment she's going to have that will take her to stem that going the other way?
So this is something I was discussing with someone. I do have a lot of thoughts on this. Okay, shut up. So Daenerys, this is actually really recent. I don't usually subscribe to a lot of Daenerys bullshit in general because I'm like, we'll see, whatever. I think she's just gonna burn everything and then suck and die. But I wanted to root for her, but here's the deal: is George isn't gonna make these novels. Restoration.
Allegedly.
Wait, was that after the make these novels? Was that just a cutoff? Because I feel like that's. George isn't going to make these novels. That's it. That's the podcast. I don't think he's going to make these novels about Targaryen restoration. He's literally peppering in all these things about how Targaryens weren't that good. They weren't good. And Daenerys is learning, wow, my ancestors really sucked. And as she goes along learning that, she realizes the only way for her to win is fucking burninating everything. End of the Winds of Winter, if she lands in Dorne and burns everyone, like I think will happen, or what I don't know if I want it or I think it. I'm not sure if it's a prediction or if it's I want this to happen, because it just makes so much thematic sense. I mean, we're started by a Daenerys and ended by a Daenerys. That's
right.
Beautiful. That's a chef kiss right there. That's the most beautiful symmetry.
Except
the
name kind of sucks. But
No,
okay.
yeah, the name absolutely sucks, but we'll work on it, you know?
Right.
Give her a new one. But no, like, she's going through and she's asking Barristan, like, what was my father like? Will you tell me what he's like? And he's like, I'll tell you.
Right.
I'll tell you the shit eventually. Like, if I did, I will. Well, she's gonna get back. He's gonna be fucking dead. She's not gonna get the truth, but she knows the truth. She knows.
Right.
She knows in her heart she's becoming the truth. Like she like sees it as she's having to burn these people, as she's having to unleash the dragon. Like she gets it now, and she understands. And so by A Dream of Spring, like after she spent all the Winds of Winter fucking conquering and burning people, and then the real enemy comes in Dream of Spring, and she has to join up to help fight the real enemy.
Yeah.
That battle, like it's not about Targaryen restoration. It's not about her getting her throne. It's not about her going and taking her home back. And she'll realize how wrong her ancestors were. I just don't see her living. I don't see her making it through that. I see her doing anything necessary are defeated and that Westeros is safe, and her really changing Targaryen history for that. I don't see George making this a restoration of Targaryens to the thrones of Jon and Daenerys banging and having incest babies and everything was great because everyone was blonde. You know what I mean? I don't see George, but we don't know, I guess.
No. I hope not. Because they're not that interesting.
It's boring. That's boring. That's like a boring end to everything. That's everything George told us he wasn't going to do.
No. Well, that's all right. Hopefully, this is my second most spicy take of the evening.
Go on, everyone.
Of the arc. I hope there's a habit of the fandom where they're like, well, no, that can't happen because of that's not where their arc's headed. Okay. And George makes a big point of how, like, the fallacy of prophecy. And he has to be also aware of the unspoken prophecy of the prediction of his writing, even. You know what I mean? Even it's got to be aware of the examination of what it is that he's writing. I know he has to be,
Well, and that's what makes me think that that's one of the things, what you're saying is what makes me think, like, he's planting these things about dragons don't plant trees, Targaryens are bad, they burn things, Daenerys, you're about to go burn shit. Like, that's what makes me think that I'm like, George is aware of this, and he's not going to let that be the end.
He's not. He's not. This isn't. No, it's not. You did the whole no, the last look that we get at Essos, which I'm going to be bummed at, it's not going to be what we had hoped to see. The last look that we get at Westeros isn't going to be a system that we recognized. That's what I hope for. It's not going to be.
Yeah, there will be no Iron Throne. I think that's like canon at this point. I know that's silly, but it's like everyone knows it's not going to be this feudal society. It's going to break off into maybe something more democratic, but it's not going to be.
I don't think that we're even going to see that. I don't even think I don't think we're going to see the crowning of King Elisar and the ordering of the realm. I really don't think that we're even going to get that kind of look at it. It's going to be basically we're going to be pulling back from the wreckage of Constantinople. Where it's going to be like literally like how are they going to manage this system after? He's going to have to kind of leave it that way because.
I mean, it's going to be such a shit show, dude. It's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, because he has to cut it off. At that point, he has to do it to himself. He's like, I have to leave this place. And he's not going to be able to leave it orderly. And, hey, all these people, this is who's in charge, and this is who's the hand, and these are the knights of the realm. And it's not going to be able to be that way. He's going to have to say goodbye to these people, goodbye to them.
God, dude, do you realize, like, yeah, we think the Winds of Winter wait is bad, but, like...
no, we're getting Robert Jordan, unfortunately.
Oh, God, stop! It hurts me. It hurts me to hear that and know it's true. No, dude, it is the worst because it's like, I know this is the hard. Okay, so the Win's a Winner. I'm gonna go full apologist right now. The Win's a Winner, dude. It is so much to wrap up. All of these plots, there are like hundreds. Like I wrote it down somewhere the other day, but there are so many hanging plots he has to wrap up in the Winds of Winter alone. From a spring, like everything has to just, bloop, and there is like, for example, he made like.
Can I interrupt you one
three
moment?
Yeah, absolutely.
In one moment. He needs no less. This is me to you, Graham, if you're watching. George, you need no less than 16,000 words. What happens to a Sharadane? Do you understand? Okay.
You panderer.
That needs to happen. That puzzle.
No, it's okay because you know what?
Go on anyway. You were saying.
I have all those words for him. So George, if you're listening, give me a call. I got about 13,000 on you, baby. Let's chat. Let's chat. I got you, George. I can get you there. I can get George R. R. Martin from Ashara Dane drowning in the summer sea. And first off, I haven't said those words together. I haven't said Ashara Dane this whole time. A little bit of respect. It has been like an hour-ish. I haven't said Ashara Dane. I've been doing really good. I feel like we should keep like a tracker on how long until she says it.
Oh, no,
start counting.
What is you doing?
What is you doing? You did this first off, okay? But what I'm saying is, happy to help George get from point A of Ashara Dane dying to point B, which is she's in Greywater Watch, living with Howland Reed. Anyways, though, there. What I'm saying
this was
is,
gonna happen in the podcast. Fuck all you people. You can have a podcast dedicated to this. This happened here first. Fuck that. Anyway,
I'm trying to do the best I can, okay? I haven't made these videos 700% about Ashara Dane yet, so I feel like
I'm looking forward to being in costume for this.
Playing Ashara Dane for this is what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're gonna buy. We're gonna buy Dot John.
Yeah.
Purple contacts.
With
a nice long dark wig.
With my Stony Dornish forearm hair. Yeah, that'd be great.
Stony. And maybe like a lacquered leather mask since she's Quaith.
Yeah. Not.
What I'm saying is, John, dude, I was doing so well. Why did you do this? What was I even saying?
I don't know. Keep your I don't know. Stay in your lane. Let's go. Let's do this. What's your point?
Anyways, George has so much to tie up that like I get like between the Myronese knot and the Winterfell knot and knocking out the 5-year gap. I mean, the Wind's a Winner do. So like I get why it's so long. I'm making excuses for a dream of spring already too.
Yeah. Yeah, you go ahead and do that. All I know is the canon is Stannis is still alive, Jon is dead. That's canon.
Dude, what a nice world we live in. Holy shit. What a canonical world we live in.
I mean, if another book doesn't come out and Jon Snow is dead, then I'm all right.
I mean, he's dead.
Yeah, I'll live with it. Like, oh, haha. Probably should have done all that dumb shit. Oh, and then I guess, because I know we got to wrap up soon.
So yeah, we are getting, oh my God, we didn't get through anything. You realize that, right?
No, I know.
John and I had all these great plans, and then we just talked about religion for an hour.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's going to look great in post-production. Listen. What was I saying? I don't know. So, the thing I don't like is, there's not. You can have alternate opinions of the protagonist and not have the wrong opinion. And I don't like that with a lot of the plot with where we're at right now. The Bowen Marshes, Alistair Thorne. It seems like if you oppose, especially Jon Snow, if you oppose Jon Snow, you can't just oppose him and also be right, be coming from a place that's correct. Because everyone is quick to point out how wrong and dumb his decisions are, but no one is actually in the correct camp of the people that oppose Jon Snow. And I find that odd. They're either racist or they're backstabbers or whatever the case may be. They have this inherent our societal flaw or whatever it is. And I think that you can it's something that displays itself throughout the series, is that you can have these opposing points without being in the wrong. And Stannis is the prime example of somebody that exemplifies that. The series could really stand to have multiple Stannises, where it's characters that they're coming from a different point of view. They have something that they're out to do. They're not necessarily wrong. You don't necessarily have to agree with them. And
yeah, Stannis has that like morality there that you're speaking of, you know, like he's like the one morality where you can listen to that.
Yeah, right. But it's also coupled with accomplishment. There's little room for the hypocrisy with him. You know, it's as it stands now. I know a lot of people like to bring up the burning of Shireen with him.
The way that we get to that in the books, it's such a different path already. I mean,
again, that's one of those things. Regardless, no one's burnt yet. Jon Snow's dead in a snowbank. Shireen's alive.
Well, and the bigger things about that is like there are such, not to get all like, oh, the show did this and the book does this, but like the difference between Stannis' characterization in the show and book is very big. Stannis was made out in the show in general. It's not easy without internal point of views. You can't just explain like Stannis' character arc. You don't get Davos chapters. You don't get the explanation that Stanos, wow, that's a ship name. You don't get the explanation, right? I'm kind of into it. I'm like, Stanos, okay. You don't get the explanation of Stannis, and like he doesn't know in the books. He didn't know all these, he didn't know what he put his stock in. And so like and Stannis from his power to like him burning his daughter is such a different feeling in the books. Like, yeah, in the end, he's gonna burn his daughter. We all get it. We come to terms that we've seen the show and the interviews, and we know that George said this is gonna happen. And it makes sense because it's all laid out for us from the very beginning. It's gonna happen. But it is such a different character doing that with a different story and a different journey.
Yeah.
And what trips him that far is what's going to be more interesting. And that was presented to us in an easy watered down version. I mean, so those gray moralities that Stannis brings up, and those little like things of like you get the exposition that makes you think of these other people doing bad things compared to him. It's so different.
Oh yeah. So what do you think?
And we covered a couple things. We talked about religion a lot. We talked about if Ned survived for like 5 minutes, and now we're talking about Stannis. So that's good. I think we really covered it. John, thank you for joining me tonight. I love getting to chat with my buddy, my friend. Find John on Twitter at @John. It will be in the description of this video. following me on Twitter at Drunk A Song of Ice and Fire, Drunk ASOIAF, or at Liza and Arbor. What a fun time. Clink, clink. Great shit.
Thank you very much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks again for joining us. You guys stay tuned. John will be back on Drunk A Song of Ice and Fire in a bit. We're going to be doing Drunken Egg. Finally, I'm so excited about Drunken Egg. It is like my favorite dream come true. I've been wanting to do it for a while. So in the next few weeks, I will have John on with a good can of sweet YFT. Anne and Eliana from our Song of Ice and Fire, our ASOIAF. Glass Table Girl, moderator from there. She's great. They will be on, and we're going to be covering the Hedge Knight. I'm excited to get a little toasted with my buddies and talk about Dunk the Lump, who sticks the castle wall. That's it. Thanks for watching. Say goodnight, John.
Good night, John.
That's what I thought. Have a good night, you guys.